Hi everybody, my name is Dan Finkel and I'm going to walk you through our first nugget on data science in the data science course today. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. The first being that I wanted to make sure you knew that the course is going to step through this Python notebook here, and it's pretty well documented with code and text. And you can find this notebook if you're interested in going back and reviewing anything or following along with us on the GitHub page on the link up above here. The other thing I wanted to do was really quickly introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Dan Finkel. I have a background in applied mathematics and operations research. I got degrees in both from NC State back in 2004. And since then, I've been working in the analytics space with large data sets, driving information and meaning from those sets in two principal areas. The first, I spent a long time working in defense research in that space, and then the other, more recently, I've been working for a firm that collects consumer research data and measures customer experience. And so that I think both those experiences will influence and guide sort of how this course is set up. All right, so with that, let's jump in. So this first exercise here is the goal here is to kind of get our feet wet, get ourselves comfortable with the idea of the class, and it's going to follow a format that you'll see throughout this course, namely that we're going to read in a data set. At least in today's data set is going to pertain to the Boston Marathon. We're going to play around and understand that data set. And then lastly, we're going to perform some data science techniques and technologies on that data to better understand what happened and what the data is telling us. Before we jump into that, though, I did want to take a minute and at least introduce the concept of data science and give you my 2 cents on what I think data science is. Data science is a term that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and that's entirely okay and fair. It encompasses a large swath of different techniques and capabilities. It's a term that sometimes gets commingled and sometimes should and shouldn't be with a lot of other terms, such as data mining, big data, business analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence. You've probably heard others as well. Some people treat those as synonyms. However, I hopefully I can convey to you throughout this class that they actually all mean very different things and are significantly different. Regardless of what data science means to you, there's no doubt that there's a lot of buzz around it. This screen grab here is from a Harvard Business Review article from not too long ago declaring data science the sexiest job of the 21st century. Whether or not you believe that or not, or even understand what that means, I certainly don't. You probably are aware that data science is getting a lot of buzz around it. In fact, you may be sitting here listening to me talk because of that buzz that may have sucked you in and you want to learn more about it, which is great. For the purposes of this course, I thought I would give you a couple bullet points on what I think data science is. And what I think the key points are, and what I hope is that at the end of these notebooks, this course, that you come away with a strong feeling of these points, that we keep coming back to them. The first point I want to make is that I truly believe data science is an interdisciplinary field. We blend throughout this course, throughout the day-to-day life of a data scientist. He or she is blending technologies from math, statistics, engineering, physics, computer science, operations, and other analytics fields as well. In my head, you can imagine that a data scientist is somebody who carries around a large toolkit with them. And depending on the problem, depending on the data set, depending on the audience, that data scientist may pull out a different tool to solve the problem. And that tool can be algorithms, borrowed from any of these fields. It might be a software package. Sometimes the data scientists will use Excel. Other times maybe R or Python. Sometimes higher level languages like C++. But regardless, to me, a data scientist isn't wedded to any of those particular techniques or approaches, and borrows from all of them based on what's going to help best solve the problem that he or she is being asked to solve. The definition of data science that really sticks with me, and this is maybe even too wordy, is listed here, and I'll read it off to you. To me, data science is the blend of methods, technologies, and processes to use data to answer questions, solve problems, and drive business decisions. At the end of the day, a data scientist is either given a problem or a data set. If they're given a problem, then they need to go out and find or collect a data set to help them solve that problem. If the data scientist is given a problem or given a data set, then he or she needs to go out and figure out what problem they're trying to solve, and then utilize their tool set to solve that problem and report back the results to the stakeholders. At the heart of it, that's what a data scientist is. They're a problem solver that are using interpreting data back to an audience. And again, I hope we beat that drum throughout this course and stick to that mantra. The last point I wanted to make about data science, another way I tend to think about it, is that data science is filling the gap in the trade space between humans and computers. I thought I would draw a plot of that, which is shown down here below. Up above, we have a set of code. I'm not going to walk through this set of code, but please do so at your leisure. But all it does is it draws the plot shown here, in which we're comparing the relative strengths and weaknesses of humans to computers in the space of analytic processing and thought. There are 4 axes shown here. Intelligence, memory, processing, and negative cost, just so we're consistent, not positive cost, but the opposite of that. And if you think about humans versus computers in these two spaces, a couple trends emerge. First off, when you think about humans, compared to a computer, a human is very smart, and also maybe a little surprisingly, a human has a lot of memory relative to a computer. There's a link to a news article down below here that points out that the entire internet could fit on in a human brain. All the information on the internet would fit in a human brain. So a lot of memory space capability up in your head. Comparatively speaking to computers, humans are relatively weak when it comes to processing, and they're also pretty expensive. If all things being equal, if you can have a human or a computer do a job, you want the computer to do it. It's always going to be less costly in that approach. And so, and computers are vice versa, or the opposite of that, right? So we just mentioned that computers, compared to humans, have a ton of processing, are relatively cheap task performers. However, computers compared to humans aren't that smart and don't have that much memory. And so, to me, data science is taking these deficiencies in computers relative to humans and trying to boost them up. It's trying to make data science is the art or science of trying to make computers smarter and make do with less memory than humans. And so again, I think you'll see that as we go through the course. The last thing here in this intro section is just a reminder that it's really important. It happens a lot in the field of data science, is that you can get quickly overwhelmed by the excitement and romance of a data set and forget about your audience. And so it's important to always remember, and it's a skill that you have to acquire and develop as a data scientist, which is you have to learn how to provide meaningful summarization or information back to your audience about the data. It's really easy to get excited about a data set. It's much harder sometimes to find meaning and information relevant to your audience for that. And so this cartoon here tells that story much better than I ever could. So I think with that we'll take a pause, and in the next nugget we'll jump into the